Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this talk on Leadership as Practice, Leadership Beyond Traits. Today, we are delighted to have the distinguished speaker, Dr. Eric Kong, with us. So he prefers us to call us just Eric. And Eric is the CEO of Human Dynamic, a leading consulting company in the Asia-Pacific region. And he has extensive coaching experience in leadership and change. During this talk, Eric will share his experience and expertise on what leadership as practice is about and why it's so important in today's business world. He will provide us with practical insights for becoming more effective leaders and will share his experience from many years of coaching and consulting. And before we begin, I would also like to add a note of celebration. Today's talk is actually part of our company's 30th anniversary event. So today's talk is not only an opportunity to learn and grow as leader, but also to celebrate the achievement of our company and the people who have made this possible, including you. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce Eric, who will guide us through this informative and engaging talk. So hi, Eric. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's my honor to be here to speak to you about leadership as practice, or in short, we call it LAP. And there's a main difference between the traditional understanding about leadership, because we understand leadership usually is like traits or personality. That means it's what the person is or what the person does, okay? So leadership as practice holds a very different paradigm or different views about what leadership is and also how leaders perform as well as how leaders practice. I picked this photo in my PowerPoint, okay? It's like you can see that, that is in the chest, that is the king or the queen if you want. And then you have a circle of core leaders around the king. Okay, usually they are the knights or generals, if you want, okay, who can protect and also help the king manage the whole kingdom. And then you have the outer kind of core of supporters or followers to kind of be loyal to the king and also to serve different functions in the kingdom or in the emperor. So that is the traditional understanding about leadership. So when you have a leader, when we say there is leadership, usually that is what they call the big man or the big woman theory. Okay, that is the strong leader coming out and then who is wise and also usually is a great warrior, okay, in the ancient time. Of course, now just physical strength might not be enough, so you might have some technology CEO like Musk, who is sharp and also very, very daring to go for different type of adventures. And he comes out to kind of talk about his great vision of reaching to Mars and then, just make a split of second of decisions to take over Twitter and also make an announcement that he will lay off 50% of his workforce, okay? So that is still very much a traditional understanding about leadership. Okay, there's a big hero or big leader kind of take over the whole kingdom or take over the whole company and exercise his leadership and make a lot of decisions. And usually the big leader will come out to make some inspiring, visionary speech to inspire the whole team or the whole army to follow him to fight the battles ahead. Well, that might be true. Okay, I'm not saying that such kind of leadership is not important. Okay, it's still very much what the leaders do. Okay, when he makes decisions or she comes to take over certain operations and how she go about to communicate as well to make certain decisions and take actions together with her teams to go to fulfill that mission. Fair enough. However, I'd like you to kind of take a look at this photo, and I don't know how many of you understand what this is. Okay, this is a dragon boat. Okay, and in China or in Hong Kong, then we have this Dragon Boat Festival. It has some historical kind of background about this festival, which is not my intention to explain to you what that festival is all about. But I want you to understand about this dragon boat. Okay, in the dragon boat there are three major roles. Okay, and there's one who is sitting in the front. I hope you can see the photo there. And usually the person is sitting in the front, okay, hitting the drum, boom, 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 boom. Okay, and then all the paddlers or the team members on the boat is following the drum to kind of keep the pattern on, doing their part to make the boat moving. And then there's a guy sitting at the back there, and then he is the steering the rudder to make sure that the dragon boat goes straight, so they wouldn't hit the other dragon boat on the side. But usually when they start the race, it's just one direction, and then just make sure that you don't go sideways, and then don't hit the other dragon boat. That's fine. The person at the back wouldn't decide make a big turn or go to a different direction. That is not his role to do that. Now, who is the leader in this dragon boat race or in this dragon boat team? Is it the person who is hitting the drum or controlling the rudder, the direction of the dragon boat, or those who are sitting together paddling? No. Now, I haven't tried the dragon boat myself, but I know that some of my friends who do, and they told me that usually the captain of the team sits somewhere in the middle. And it's the place where he can shout and yell that, and also encourage his team to kind of paddle, and then he can keep shouting. And of course, he himself, or she, sometimes it's not just he, okay, she can kind of paddle very powerfully, okay? So that is what we call leadership, okay? Now, leadership, of course, you don't see the leader from the photo here. People very often would say that, okay, the person who hit the drum is the leader because everybody listens to him. Usually it's a her, okay, sometimes because she's lightweight, and then, okay, she can still hit the drum and everybody can hear her, okay, in the front. But the person who is hitting the drum is not really the leader because she simply responds to the captain and then go faster, 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 okay, and then she just hit the drum as the captain instructed her to do, okay? And of course, as I said, okay, the person holding the rudder at the back is not really the person who drives the dragon boat. Now, we call leadership together. The whole team is the leadership, okay? And how do we know there's leadership when the whole team is really working together in one goal and one mind and one mission to win the race, and then they work together, okay? So that is what we call leadership as practice. Leadership is not about the personalities of the leaders. It's not just about the behavior or the actions of the leader. It's about the whole team. When the whole team together is the leader, the followers are working together towards that same mission and exhibit that leadership among themselves, then we call that leadership. So that is a new understanding about leadership. I hope that today I can just shed some lights to you or insights that might help you to rethink what leadership is, how you perform as a leader, or how you foster leadership among your team and in your organization. So first thing we need to rethink about leadership is leadership as practice. Okay, I'll talk more about that, LAP. Okay. And secondly, about collective leadership. Okay, leadership is not just about one person or a few persons, okay, but collective. Okay, if you're talking about a soccer team, Just like when we saw, Argentina won the World Cup. It's not just about Messi. He's great. But we all know that just one person couldn't kind of win the World Cup. It's the whole team. It's not just that 11 people who are just playing in the field, as well as those who are at the side, and then the coach, and even the whole crowd watching and then cheering them plays a part in the whole leadership of that World Cup final event. So collective leadership is a team. It's not just about one person or one superstar who can outperform the other soccer players, but he can gel the team together. He plays a part to that. The coach, the captain, and the others are also playing their part to contribute that collective leadership so that they can win the World Cup at the end. Finally, it's about rethinking leadership as leading change as a dynamic process. We often think of leading change as the visionary leader have a vision, and then he makes the decisions, and then he have strategies, and he communicate the vision and the strategy, and execution. Now that is we call the one way or the linear way of leading change. That is the typical leading change process. Now I want you to rethink about leadership is when you lead change, it's more like a dynamic process rather than a linear one-way traffic. I'll talk more about these 3 points. So leadership as practice it's kind of like common sense. It's not what the leaders say they do, but what they actually do. So some research have shown that many leaders have different kind of principle. Are you a participative, open-minded, communicative leader? They always say, yes, I am. But in reality, what they practice is different. So they know it, they can say it, but they don't really do it. So leadership as practice is more about what really are they doing. It's not just about what they know or what they say they do, but what they actually do, in the leadership role or in the leadership situation. Secondly, leadership as practice is more about studying what is happening with the team when the leaders and the members are following the leaders together. There was one research, in fact, it was a video, and then it was about this guy in the park. I forgot about where that park is. The park has a steady slope, and then there were people just like any normal parks in England or in US. People were hanging around, just enjoying themselves, the sunshine and all that. And there was a guy in the video. There was a guy kind of just started to jumping and then shouting and then dancing. Right in front of everyone. He was kind of enjoying himself. And eventually, along the way, people was kind of curious, is this guy crazy or what is he doing? And eventually, another person joined him, and then 2 of them were yelling, dancing, and then enjoying themselves. And then a few more people were following, and then they were joining the whole party to kind of dancing, shouting, and then singing together. And until at the end, there were at least like 100 people in the whole park, dancing and shouting and enjoying. It was not a riot, but they're really having fun time together. So in that video, my professor was telling me that it is the followers who defines the leader. I say it again. It is the followers who define the leaders. It's not the leader defines the followers. If a leader, the first person who is jumping and dancing, didn't have anyone to follow him, there was no leadership. And leadership happened when others were willing to follow him, and they were just relaxing, enjoying themselves. And at the end, you hardly could tell who the leaders was, because everybody was doing the same thing anyways. So what is happening with the team? It's all about the interactions and the dialogues, the conversations, between the leader and the members and among the members themselves. Okay? The interactions and the dialogues very much dictates how that leadership is coming about, how they construct the meaning about what they are about to do. Okay? So when we kind of look at those movies like the Brave Hearts or the other movies that, okay, the hero riding on a horse and then he's kind of right in front of the battlefield facing the very tough enemies, and then his own army is right behind him. And he starts to make his speech about, fighting for freedom. Today we may die, but we die as free men. It's really inspiring and encouraging, okay, the people who were so afraid and then they might die today, and then he just make a few great speech to inspire his army to fight for freedom, not fight for him, but to fight for freedom and fight for their families and for themselves. So such is that interactions and the dialogues. Of course, we usually just focus on that inspiring speech of the leaders. But in fact, the important thing is the dialogues among the people who were following him. And even more importantly, those are the captains and then the other generals who are leading their armies, how they dialogue with the key leader as well as their own armies. So the interaction and the dialogues are happening in the whole organization, in the whole army, and in the whole team. So when we look at leadership, we need to look at the whole organization. Why some companies transform their organizations and yet they fail? Partly is because of that interaction and conversations and dialogue failed. Okay? Now, one of the points that John Kotler was saying about one major mistake about leading change is that they don't have a vision, and even when they have a vision, they fail to communicate the vision by a factor of 10. That means you should say it 10 times, but you only said it once. Okay, you need to use different channels, different people to communicate to your people about what that vision is, what they need to do, and how to receive their feedback, and then modify, and then also continue to adapt to the new situations. Yet, most of the changes just make announcements by the CEO and cascade down the whole organizations, and people were still asking, why change? The middle managers were saying, don't ask me, the top management didn't tell me anything, and therefore they were very negative about change, and then they call it the reflective or the resistant force is in the middle management. Okay, and of course you can fire the top executives, 5 or 10 people is easily, okay, just the slip of a finger, then those 10 or 20 people are gone. But when you talk about middle managers, it could be as many as 200 or 2,000 of them in the big organizations. When the middle managers don't have the buy-in about the change, then the leader is just talking by himself or herself. And the middle managers are not supporting the change, not to mention whether they would communicate to their team members about change and then motivate them to support the change process. So more and more people realize that it's really the middle managers that makes a big difference in any organizational change. That is also the main subject of my PhD study, which I started 2 years ago. I will talk more about that later on in my presentation today. So finally, it's about that leadership moment. Okay? Now, leadership is a phenomena. It's not about personalities. It's not about behavior. Okay? It's about a phenomena. Something happened. Okay? Something is interacting. Something is kind of that chemistry is generating that energy and then creating this phenomena. Okay? I just use this lighter to illustrate. Okay? Many years ago, I learned about some fire service. Okay, from a fireman. Okay, he asked me one question: what is fire? Okay, and then fire. I never thought about that question. Fire is fire. Okay, okay. No, fire can burn you. Okay, so you need to be very careful with fire. And he said that fire is a phenomenon. No idea what phenomena, that word phenomena means. He's saying that fire is not a real substance per se. Okay, it's just a phenomena that some burnable material, kind of burning, and then with oxygen, and then that fire comes out, and that fire creates heat. Okay, and that fire is a phenomenon. Okay, when you think of leadership is a phenomenon. Okay, it just happens. Okay, there's a leadership coming out. So it's not existing in the leaders. Okay, it's not just about the behavior. It's not about the personality. It's a phenomenon. When the team, the leaders, and the whole organization context is working together, and that leadership moment came out, then there's leadership. Now, it sounds quite abstract, but on the other hand, we can't see it and then we know it. So let's talk a little bit more about collective leadership. Collective leadership basically is saying that it's not just happening at the top, okay? Leadership, we very much focus on top leaders, what the CEO is going to say, what the executive directors, VP is going to say. Yes, they are important. They make strategic decisions, fair enough, okay? On the other hand, we kind of ignore what is happening in the middle as well as at the ground floor, okay? Some social science research has shown that in the prison, okay, you think that the most powerful person is the warden, okay, that the superintendent, okay, who supervises the whole prison, okay. He say one thing and then nobody could say no, okay. He gives command, everybody follows. But that study kind of found out that it is really the prisoners at the ground level, at the shop floor, who decide how much to produce. Okay, they are in the factories, they can't producing things, okay, even in prison. And they realize that it's really the workers or the prisoners at the ground level who decide how much to produce every day. It's not what the wardens say, today we're going to produce how many kind of products that they are supposed to make. So leadership is everywhere. So many companies realize that they need to empower the frontline workers to get things done, as well as to provide customer service everywhere, and not just at the top level executive team office. Leadership is plural. Okay, that simply means that we tend to think of leadership as singular. Okay, just one person, that top leader. Okay, so we think of leadership as a plural. Okay, it's together. It's together. Recently, I love playing tennis, and I watched tennis games, and then those top 10 tennis players, they are competing. And Swiatek and the other kind of number one players, when they won the championship, the first thing they say is, I want to thank my team. Okay, it is my team who helped me to perform and who helped me we win this championship together. Okay, so leadership is plural, even when you are talking about a man single or woman single tennis game. The star is out there performing, but it's really the whole team helping her, preparing her, practicing her, advising her, cheering for her, even provide counseling to her to help her to perform to her best. So when she won the championship, she acknowledged the team. Leadership is plural. Finally, leadership is teamwork. So when we think about leadership, we need to think of the 3 levels of transformation. In leading change process, we want to drive business transformation. In a team level, then we have that team transformation. And finally, we have that personal transformation. Now, the personal transformation could be the easiest, but it could also be the most difficult one, because it's not easy to change a mindset. Just think about doing exercise, okay? You can control yourself whether you want to do exercise or not, right? What to do. But on the other hand, you find that it's not easy to do exercise, because personal transformation is easily said than done. Same thing about team transformation, not to mention about the whole organization, whole business transformation. So the final point I want to make about leadership and change is leading change is a dynamic process. Okay? In the beginning, I mentioned that leading change, very often we think of change as a linear thing, step, okay, from here to there, okay? But in fact, even John Koffler had talked about that steps of leading change, okay, including visioning, communicating, implementing. Those are the three steps that every organization should take. But for my consulting experience and even my personal experience as a CEO of Human Dynamic in these past 30 years, I realized that leading change is not linear, okay? It's not just one way, but it is a dynamic or spiral process. I really like this graphic, okay? You talk about that kind of chaotic change back and forth. It's not just one way, but hopefully eventually you will go to the way that you want to go rather than to elsewhere. But the whole process is much more complicated and dynamic as we often think, okay? So what does that mean to us? You as a leader, you need to consider how to involve your team, how to maintain that interaction and dialogues with all levels of your organization. It's not just one decision you make and then you cascade down, send out 5,000 emails to those who want to lay off, and then you just make a decision just like that. Yes, it is easy, just a push a button, those emails are out. But what about what happens next? What about the remaining staff of that organization? Are they engaged? Are they willing to work for you? Or they are just voting to get rid of this guy, okay? He's the worst CEO they might have, okay? They may even vote a dog to be a CEO rather than this guy, okay, who just took over the company. So it's important to involve and to engage people, particularly the significant others in the whole organization. It's not just one-way traffic. You make the shot, you make the decision, you just push through, okay? Some big nations just make decisions about COVID, okay, whether it is a zero policy or it is open up, okay? Again, this is one decision just like that, okay? Well, we have seen what had happened, and that reminds us it's important to involve the whole organization. It's a dynamic process. Okay, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make the wrong decisions because you're making corrections. You're adapting. Okay, you're not just make one decision and then you go and then boom. Okay, you cannot return. That is that linear decision. We try to avoid that. Okay, leading change is an adaptive and a dynamic process. You can make changes. You can stop. You can say, I'm sorry, I make the wrong decisions. Okay? And then you do it again. Okay? You try something else with your team, and that is importance about leadership and change. That we hope to help companies to think about leading change is a dynamic process of constructing meaning together. Okay? If they don't buy in, they don't think that it's making sense to them, then they won't get involved. They won't support you. Secondly, it involves top management, middle managers, as well as frontline workers, plus customers, partners, and other stakeholders. Any successful change will involve the whole organization, as well as to involve the customers and other stakeholders. It's not just the top leader make big decisions and then cascade down. So finally, I just want to draw attention why middle manager is important. You can see that the top management, the middle managers, and then the team members, okay, are interacting together. And the middle managers really playing vital part in the communication and the execution process. Many organizations simply ignore the middle managers. And in fact, when I was doing my PhD research, I realized that there was so little literature about middle managers and the middle managers' leadership. There were hardly less than 5 books. Just think about it. The whole world had written less than 5 books on middle managers. Just think about that, okay? And we talk about the importance of leadership, okay? So it's important to help the middle managers, engage them, as well as to empower them to lead together with the top management team, as well as to influence and to lead their own teams in their respective regions and divisions. Well, I won't go into details about the leadership as practice of the middle managers, but basically, my research has found that in a manufacturing setting, in a multinational corporation context, and in Asia Pacific area, then middle managers are doing these four things, okay? Problem solving, continuous improvement, and learning, and then communication and coordination, and finally, it's about relationship management. Managing the top leaders, managing the peers, managing the team members, and even the corporate decision makers, okay? We know that multinational corporations, the headquarters makes kind of centralized decisions and execute around the whole world, so they need to manage those as well. So, and they pretty well are playing different roles in the different leadership practice. As a solution provider in problem solving expert, as well as in continuous improvement and learning as an innovator and experimenter. And as a communication and also coordinator is project manager and coach. And finally, relationship management as a broker and negotiator, okay, to involve in different parties, in dialogue, engaging them, and then finding that win-win solutions and change outcome together. So I hope that in the future we can kind of understand more about leadership as practice and to learn together how to create a better organization, stronger leadership, and make a difference in this rather chaotic world. Thank you. Human Dynamic will play a part, and we will want to become your business partner to engage you in making this world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So after this wonderful sharing, I know you may have questions for Eric or for us. So please feel free to leave your comments or questions on our website, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Come to our website here for more information. And for those who have attended today, we have just released our white paper. It is a summary of Eric's PhD research finding on leadership as practice of middle managers for organizational changes. So this is not available anywhere else yet. For those who have attended today, you are the lucky one. You'll be the first to see it. If you wish a copy, feel free to leave your contact to our inbox, and we will reply to you soon. So once again, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I wish you have a good evening, and we wish to see you all next time. Bye-bye.